Sup, y'all? Huge Cow Patty here. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Today, I want to talk about the Switch, particularly the future of the Switch. So, there's some rumors going around right now that Nintendo is developing a new, more powerful Nintendo Switch hardware to come out early to mid 2019. A lot of people are freaking out about this. They're like, "Oh, it's going to be in 4K and it's going to be like the new Nintendo 3DS where some games are going to work for it, some games are not." Some people are saying that if that's the case, that all Nintendo games are going to work across both consoles, whether you have the weaker version or the stronger version. Some people are saying that they're going to make it so the third parties don't have to do that. There's a whole lot of rumors going around there, and it comes from a fairly reliable source. I'm actually going to link to a video that Review Tech USA did on it. That's where I heard about it from. But I want to let you guys know that everybody who's freaking out, like, I can't believe they're doing this, this was inevitable. Okay, this was inevitable. I don't know so much about the whole letting third parties make games for the stronger one that don't necessarily work on the launch console. That I don't know, but it was inevitable that this upgrade was going to happen. The industry has been moving to this for, ever since the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro came out. This is a move that makes sense. Even handhelds before, like Nintendo's been doing this with their handhelds since the Game Boy. You had the Game Boy, then you had the Game Boy Pocket, and then you had the Game Boy Color, and then the Game Boy Advance, and all. Now the Game Boy Advance was like a new console. Like I get that it was like a new game system altogether, but the Game Boy went through that. The Game Boy Advance went through that. You had the Game Boy Advance regular and the Game Boy Advance SP. And then with the Nintendo DS, you had the Nintendo DS Fat thing, and then the Nintendo DS Lite, and then the DSi. This is just normal, and it was inevitable, and I think it's a good thing. And I'm not just talking about, making the form factor thinner and cheaper to produce. I'm talking about, getting people used to upgrading their devices almost like they upgrade their computers or almost like they upgrade their cell phones. And when I say computers, I mean, I know like most of the people who are probably watching this channel are like, well, I just pop a new graphics card when I want. I will buy a whole new computer. And I get that. I'm talking about people who upgrade their laptops, every couple of years to get a more powerful one. And this makes sense. Now, I got to be honest, this isn't really the way that I thought Nintendo was going to go. I really thought they were going to do something where they put more hardware in the dock so that you could take the Switch and put it in the dock and it would be more powerful while in docked mode. And to be honest, all this stuff is just rumor. Like, none of this may ever come to pass. But I think it makes sense. I think it's inevitable, and we need to get used to it. Hardware improves, and people can get better frame rates out of things. People can get better resolution out of things. This is just the way things go. And I think this is actually a good thing and a better thing than has happened in the past. And I think we're seeing this point now where the game consoles, the Switch and the Xbox and the PlayStation, are going to start behaving more like the Game Boy did. And if you'll remember, games that worked on the original Game Boy worked on the Game Boy Advance SP. That was like, 15 years of backwards compatibility that just doesn't exist in the console space. Now, I do think Nintendo, by going with the cartridges, has backed themselves up into a little corner. One reason why it's easy for the PlayStation to, even if they're faking their backwards compatibility, or the Xbox to fake their backwards compatibility through emulation, is because they're all disc. All these discs fit in there. And yeah, maybe with the future going digital, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But, and what am I saying? The Game Boy had carts, and they made it work. So I'm probably talking out of my butt. Who knows? But this is good because it means that when the new Switch comes out, the Switch 2 or whatever it is that they're going to call it, all of my Switch games are going to work on it. And it'd be even better if all of my new Switch games worked on my original Switch. That would be awesome. Now, I understand, maybe Bethesda is going to be like, well, we're going to be able to hit that 60 frames per second with Doom Eternal if we make it only for the new Switch or the Switch 2 or whatever, then maybe I'm not going to get to play Doom Eternal on my regular Switch, or maybe we'll see Fallout 76, or maybe we'll see an Assassin's Creed game come out for the new Switch that isn't going to come out on the old Switch. And I get that would be a real bummer, but you know what? I can take my Switch and I can give it to my son, who's not going to be playing Assassin's Creed anyway. He's going to be playing Zelda, which Nintendo's going to make sure that all their games work across everything because they want as many people to be able to buy it. And let's be honest, Nintendo is the kings at getting the best out of their hardware. The Zelda Breath of the Wild, no other third party would have been able to do that on the Switch. I just don't think that it's possible. I don't want to say I don't think it's possible. I just think there aren't third parties out there willing to put in the work to make something like that happen. Maybe Bethesda is getting to where, they're willing to do that, but most third parties aren't willing to do that. And so I think this is a good thing. I think this is awesome. Am I going to be able to upgrade to it right away? Probably not. I don't have the money to be, throwing around things like that. But who knows? My son wants his own Switch, and he's planning on buying one. And maybe a good thing for me to do would be, I'll let you buy my Switch off of me for cheaper, and then I'll go buy the upgrade one. Or, maybe he just saves up his money and gets a better one, and then I have to be jealous of him. These are things that we have to think about, but this is a good thing. This can only be a good thing. I think anybody who's freaking out about it is being very short-sighted. I don't think Nintendo is going to leave behind the original Switch. They didn't leave behind the original Game Boy. A lot of those Game Boy games, like a lot of Game Boy Color games, worked on the original Game Boy. Not all of them did, but a lot of them did, and Nintendo didn't make that many new 3DS exclusive games. In fact, there might be 3. And they're Wii ports or something like that. So anybody who's afraid that the original Switch is going to get left behind for a new, more powerful Switch, you really don't have anything to worry about. I think this is a good thing. I think this is a great path for the video game industry to be on, where we get these intermittent upgrades throughout the life of a console. And yeah, sure, eventually, just like with my phone, they're eventually going to have to say, you know what, games that were designed for the base model Xbox One are not going to work on this new Xbox thing that we've got going on here. And eventually Nintendo's going to have to say, you know what, Breath of the Wild, it's not going to work on this console that we made 20 years from today. It's you're going to have a cutoff point, that or they're going to have to emulate, and I think that's a strong possibility that they'll do. I think Microsoft's definitely on board with making sure that their entire back catalog works all the way out. I think it's probably more likely that eventually you'll get to where Nintendo has to say, hey, Breath of the Wild 3 or whatever Zelda game comes out, it's too much for the original Switch to handle, and so we're cutting off the original Switch. But you know what? That console's 15 years old or 10 years old or whatever. You definitely got your money's worth out of it, so it's time to move on and join the rest of us up here with this new powerful hardware. It's going to happen, but this is inevitable. It's not that big of a deal. And I say it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is a big deal. It's a big deal that the industry's moving in that direction, and it's a direction they need to be moving in. But when I say it's not that big of a deal, I mean it's not that big of a deal in the sense that you're not going to get left behind because you have an original Switch any more than people who had the fat Game Boy got completely left behind until the Game Boy Advance came out. The Game Boy Advance was the first time that Nintendo was like, all right, nothing that we make for this console is going to work on anything before it. It does eventually have to happen, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I think this is a good thing, and it's going to be awesome. I want to know what you think. If they do come out with a new, more powerful Switch hardware, are you going to be buying it? Are you going to be getting in on that? Is this something that you're interested in? Are you excited in? If you're not, maybe you're like, you know what, my Switch is doing just fine for me. I don't feel the need to upgrade. So no, I'm going to stick with mine. Maybe you're diametrically opposed to this. Maybe you're like, you know what, this new Switch, this upgrade thing is stupid. I want to go back to the days where my Xbox 360 was my Xbox 360 for 8 freaking years, and that's what I want. If that's what you want, let me know. I want to have a conversation with you guys. So leave your comments down in the comment section below. Check me out on Twitter and Facebook and Patreon, everywhere else you can find me. I'm going to see you guys around in the next video. Love you. Have a good day.